But I hope tonight we'll both have,
Sure.
we'll have both of them here. So
What's this? You know, this Marlon Brando one. This is nice looking. What's that going to go for? You think?
to be honest, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. It's a 1954 three-sheet. The art on his face is great. The color and the shadows. I think that's to me makes this poster really an art form.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Be great hanging up in your living room.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Sure.
If I can just figure out how to turn this off.
With that on the back. Put that on the front, the other on the back.
I always said this like, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going?
All right.
Back with the cam.
Yeah, back with the camera. They're not going to believe it. This back home. You haven't moved since I left.
Well, I went over to the other room for a little while and I came back.
Are you as into chainsaw as I am?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm kind of odd. I don't know what to ask him. I don't know what to do. It's like my favorite film. It is my favorite film. I saw it 20 years ago when it came out, and I've seen it 25 times since, and it's just, I'll never forget that first time I saw it.
Well, I wasn't alive 20 years ago, but I think I've seen it 25 times, and I think it's definitely sort of a gene problem. It's something in your genes that makes you attracted to such violence and gore.
Well, to me, this was what was so great about this film is that it rose above the violence and gore. You know, there wasn't much. There's a hell of a lot of violence, but there's no gore. You say chainsaw to people now, and they think gore. You know, they've been dulled. They think that it's this outrageously gory film. When what's beautiful about it is that it's all implied. I mean, it's the most terrifying film, one of the most terrifying films ever created. You know, but in the first one, and this, the 20-year-old film, there's no gore.
Well, I think that, as you say, what makes it rise above is that it definitely gives insight into the mind of these killers. There's more to them. They're not plastic. They're not two-dimensional. And some of the killers that we see now in our movies, like Freddy and some of the schlock horror guys, they have no character. They are more than human. They pretend to be supernatural, but these guys, they were real killers. There was nothing supernatural about what they did.
Yeah. When's the first time you saw it? Do you remember the first time you saw it? And your reaction?
I just saw it probably when I was like 13, which was only 5 years ago. So I got it into my house by buying it at a department store and watching it because my parents would have never let me have it in the house.
Well, I saw it. I actually had to sneak in. I was 13 when I saw it too, and I had to sneak into one of these multiplexes to see it. You know, and it was indelible. It was just etched into my mind. I couldn't.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple images that really stuck with me, especially the one scene where Marilyn dives into the bones. Or it's not Marilyn, it's the other lady that dives into the bones, and they've got the chicken in the cage.
Oh yeah, when she falls into the room.
Very bizarre.
She falls into the room, and that's when everything's kind of moving around. And hey, and
what are you doing? It's a nice camera.
I'll take your picture. Yeah. Well, plenty of chances to do that, you know. But this was this is really, yeah. I'll never forget the first time I saw it, and ever since then, I used to tell people that how great it was, and they didn't believe it. But then I took girlfriends to see it, and that's the one I wanted to see, but I could never see it, you know. I ended up buying the barf bag, but I've never seen the film.
You guys taking a break? Yeah. Hey, Mark, reach right under the front there and grab a sheet. No, under the front of the table. Right on top.
I think I'm too late.
Brad wants this down.
Hi. How are you? Are you guys leaving? Are you
We're
gonna?
just going to take a break just for a real short time.
Here we are.
We just wanted to watch the promo. It aired last night.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Is this the only media that's been here?
And
a couple of TV people and radio stations here.
Collecting movie posters is more than just a hobby. There's some big money involved. The News Center 8's Gary Stromberg says the poster convention and auction here in Cleveland now ranks as one of the biggest in the world.
Movie poster collectors maintain that prices of coins, stamps, and baseball cards can fluctuate. Posters always seem to increase in value.
Morris, tell me about the time you met Ed Neal. And Ed, I want to just say that I wrote you a fan letter and I never heard back. I got your address out of, I guess it was something, a toy shop, or there was an ad in there a couple years ago.
I think that's a guy in Minnesota that he gives a fake address out and then he uses the stamps on the return letters.
Okay, that's it. Well, whatever. It was a thrill to meet you out in January, in L.A. in January. Morris, I met you in Atlantic City.
Yes, you did.
But tell me about the time. How'd you guys hook up, and how did you create this marriage of chainsaw and classic movie posters?
I met Ed Neal in Texas movie poster convention, and he had a lot of great stuff, which he's always handled, great movie posters, and he buys, sells, and trades like I do, and I bought a whole lot of stuff, and then I bought a whole lot more, a bunch of stuff, and then his buddy Albert McFadden, and
I bought a bunch of stuff from him too.
Yeah. And so I just keep seeing him at conventions, and we talk about ideas and stores and the future of the business and the collecting, and he's the actor, and I guess I'm the entrepreneur. I don't know.
Well,
or else maybe he's an entrepreneur and I'm the actor, and I'm just fooling everybody.
I'm trying to think of something to put him in. And
yeah, that's what I want to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you?
I want to put my son in a bit part. My son's the actor. I'm overweight and 50, but my son is the actor in Hollywood.
Are you a fan of Chainsaw?
Yes, actually, I am a fan of Chainsaw, and I've never seen the movie we're going to show tomorrow, which is the making of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is done by one of our guest stars, whose name is
Brad Sheliday.
Brad Sheliday, yeah, who is the one who owns that mask.
One of the masks.
One of the masks, the killing mask, I guess it's called.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I remember the first time I saw Chainsaw. I'm always having to defend it now because people think that it's some kind of outrageous gore fest, and I think
not at all.
That's the beauty of it, is that there's no gore.
There's hardly any.
Yeah.
Your mind gets to complete the image, which is of course much more powerful.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that changed their life. I'm one of them, and that's why I came out here. It's really funny trying to tell people I'm going to Cleveland for the 20th anniversary of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Did you hear what happened on television last night? They ran it on Channel 8 News. There were more than 200 phone calls. Everybody wanted to know where to go, and then Connie Chung of CBS picked it up, and it went out to 45 million viewers all over the United States. And 2 people have flown in, one from California, one from New York, just from that television.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
Wow.
That happened last night. We are thrilled.
Great. Well, look, Ed, I'll let you, take a break. Yeah, I think you got like 15 minutes left.
Just remember, my family's always been in meat. My favorite line from the film.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many favorite lines I've got. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay,
thanks, Ed.
Flip, there's Marilyn. You don't want us on video.
Hey, Marilyn.
Just entertain her for the weekend.
Marilyn, I'm going to be inside a little bit, but I'm just doing a video. I just want to tell you that Chainsaw Massacre changed my life.
How did it change your life?
I was 13, and I think it just really inspired. I snuck into the theater to see it, and I just never forgot it. I remembered every frame. And
I hope it didn't give you nightmares.
well, I think I just recognized it pretty early on as a classic and something that I just, it deserves, to be ranked as one of the greatest horror films of all time.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, you should be really proud. And
that does make. Well, 20 years later, it's still bringing us all together. So that's pretty neat.
that's great.
That's a classic in its own, right there.
No, well, it's something. I stood there for like a half hour before I even said anything because I was pretty odd that everybody was up there on the table. So I'll be in just a few minutes and.
Okay.
Stick around here for tomorrow. I saw it. Yeah, at the. I was 13 at the Landover Theater. I had to sneak in.
What city?
In Landover, Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Well, look how it's changed my life. I didn't think I'd be in Cleveland around April 20th.
Thanks. I'll see you inside. I'm
Nice to meet
Jeff.
you,
Jeff Krulik. Thank
Okay,
you.
Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you get the McPhail Master, but they have transferred to American already. And it's called the American list. The U.S. customer.
Harvey Keitel. Hey, I hate to bother you guys, but
Certainly.
this is just a
Your quickie
this is a big moment. Pardon me?
Your quickie documentary of the weekend.
Pretty much, pretty much. Can you get a little closer? My name's Jeff Krulik. I came here from Washington, D.C., and Chainsaw is a movie that I'd cite as one of the most influential films that I've ever seen, and it really inspired me. I snuck into a theater to see it when I was 13, when it was released, and you know, it's just something. I have my favorite scenes. I was just wondering what yours were. What's your name?
Larry.
Larry, what's your favorite scene from Chainsaw?
The ones in the when they're first driving out.
You mean at the beginning?
Yeah.
When they're driving up where?
When they're after they stop and then they pick him up and put him in the van. From there on.
Pick up Ed Neal?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I like the scene where Gunner's chasing Marilyn at the end with the saw. You know, going real crazy.
You mean when he's just flailing his arms, or you mean where it cuts at the
Towards
end?
the end when he's just charging with it.
Yeah, and
she's running and screaming with covered with blood and all that. That's a cool one.
How about you, Ken?
Ken? Personally, I like Terry's impalement on the meat hook, only because of the way they edit it. It's cool, it's bloodless, but very powerful. That had to be one of my favorite things. I also like when Grandpa, the power in the scene where Grandpa just sucks Marilyn's finger. Personally, I think it's cool, and if you go up and ask Marilyn about it, she'll get embarrassed.
How about you, Mark?
I like the first shot of the movie, where with the scenes of the corpse tied to the
The snapshots?
Yeah, the snapshots.
Yeah, it's really effective.
I love that.
The soundtrack. You know, yeah, I mean, I tell you, every scene kind of was, you know, etched into my brain. It took me years till I saw it again. I used to really, you know, they didn't, it seemed to disappear, and I tried to get my college film board to show it, and they all used to laugh at me, you know. But
it's a good film.
I know.
The editing made the film.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very, it had no budget, it had no name actors. The editing and the direction made the film.
Who edited it? Who was it? I don't know. Was it?
Had something to do with it.
Go look at the video box.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Well, I'm going to go up and ask everybody. I'm going to go spend the rest of the evening, you know, interviewing them up at the table there.
And then turn directly around to the door,
right
in the back of them, and you'll get Ken again.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot, you guys.
No problem.
Appreciate it. You going to be here tomorrow?
I'm a dealer. I'm right across from the TCM table. And if they have any way, they're dragging me to the LA show in a month, too.
Great. Well, thanks a lot.
No problem. Too much.
Yeah, don't push it.
How do I turn this off now? Good. What's your name?
Chuck Mazzoni. My son has a collection here that he's
Oh
selling.
yeah. What's your favorite scene from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Well, I don't know too much about this. He's the one that's the collector, and I'm not.
I see.
And I'm here just to meet him.
Okay.
And you know, I've been looking for him and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter. I haven't run into.
Well, if I run into them, I'll tell them you're looking for them.
Do you happen to know Mike Mazzoni?
No, but I'll look for his name tag.
Oh, okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Sure. Sorry.
To make sure it wasn't stretched.
Excuse me. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Mr. Person. Nice person. It's good to be here with gory and stuff, bleeding and money and gorgeous girls. It's very nice to do this.
I know you haven't introduced me yet, but I thought I'd come up with the camera blazing.
Now, when I introduce you, am I supposed to say from the district?
Sure, that never hurts.
Hey guys, I would like you to meet Mr. Jeff Krulik. He's a producer and director of a lot of Discovery Channel programs. Very nice man that I met out in Glendale. Not Glendale, but Burbank.
Right.
Burbank. And would like to talk to y'all for just a second.
Well, you know, I'm just a big, huge, long-time fan of Chainsaw, and I met Ed and almost had a heart attack out in L.A.
Because I stepped on his foot.
Yeah, and we're working on a show called Neat Stuff, which is about collectors and collecting, and we're putting the demo reel together. But I also, the main reason I came out is because I'm a big fan of Chainsaw. And so if you don't mind, I'd love to get you on tape, and I'm here for tomorrow too, so you'll see me again. But
you know you're rolling right now. You know you are rolling.
yeah, it's a long tape. I mean, I have, I'm holding it steady, but I just, well, if you don't mind, I'll just put my eye back here behind the viewfinder.
We just.
Well, it's this is Jim Sido, and Marilyn Burns, Gunnar Hansen, and it's John Dugan. Right. Were you makeup with the film at all?
That's the way I looked when I was 20 years old. Give me a break, I was.
No, you were
Grandpa.
You were Grandpa, I know. But did you also have a career in makeup?
No.
I don't know where
I studied makeup. I went to theater school. I took a year of stage makeup.
Well, I know that I forget. I think somewhere I read that in the was it there was an article like a lot of Cinefantastique, right? You must have had that confused. But you were Grandpa. Gunnar was Leatherface, of course. Marilyn was Sally. Jim was the cook, and Ed Neal down there is the hitchhiker. And is this the official 20th anniversary? Or is there an official 20th anniversary?
Oh no, it is the 20th anniversary of the film, but there's nothing official about this.
Yeah, well, is there anything planned to be some kind of official commemoration?
Not that we've been told of. There's this show, and then in June there's a show in Glendale, California, which will be another reunion show, and that's all that we know about this.
And I guess that, I felt there really should be. I mean, of course, it's one of the most groundbreaking horror films. I think one of the most groundbreaking films of all time. And I was 13 when I saw it. I had to sneak into the theater to see it, and I never forgot it. It was
because of the rating, you mean?
Yeah, it was an R rating, and I was 13, and my friend and I had just discovered how we could sneak into R-rated films at these multiplexes, and we ended up. We got in at...
pay for the G film and you walk in the door.
Exactly. We had it down to a science. And so we got in. I mean, I really wanted to see Chainsaw. Something really really struck me. And I guess with the ads and of course the campaign. And I was really into horror at the time. But I snuck in, and just from the first frames, it just really was something it really changed my life. As cliched as that sounds, it's really it was a great, it's a real honor to meet you and at least tell you that.
Before then?
Well, I was a kid. I was 13, so I grew up, right. Well, the funniest thing is, through college, I kept arguing. I kept telling people like how great, this film was, and that I really we should show it on campus, and I just argued about it incessantly, and still to this day. I mean, trying to now so many people think that because of Chainsaw and because of the current crop of horror films that it's all gory, and that's the beauty of this film, is that there's no gore. I mean, it's incredibly violent and scary, but there's no gore.
I had somebody come up to me last year and say that one of the things he liked about Chainsaw was that the special effects were so good, and he's never seen a movie since then that they had done them so well. And how did you do that? And he wouldn't believe me when I told him that they looked so good because they weren't in the movie.
Yeah, it's that, I guess, because now with Chainsaw 2 and 3 and Leatherface and what have you, it's all kind of corrupted maybe the memory of the image of the first. I don't know. What are some of your favorite scenes? What are some things that you might? I mean, just one. I know you got a lot, but John.
We were just talking on break about Marilyn or Sally pushing Franklin through the woods on the wheelchair. Franklin was a hoot.
Push down.
Yeah.
Franklin was a little
push forward and pull down. Push forward and pull down.
Yeah, that was.
Fighting over the
That was real life.
No, Sally.
Where is now? That was Paul Partain.
Paul Partain.
Yeah, he's in a home somewhere now, I think.
Is that right? Oh.
He lives in Austin.
Are you still friends with him?
Yeah, I
or?
saw him in July on Chainsaw 4. He and I and Marilyn each had a small scene cameo roles together in part 4, which will be coming out around prom time.
That's good. I guess the more every time I see it now, I see something new, or that it's something I still I find something new every time I see it, and I'm usually showing somebody the film, so to turn them onto it and pick something up. One of my favorite bits is the soundtrack inside the van, or the music. When Ed is first meeting the travelers, you Sally, and when the hitchhiker gets in the van, I mean, was much of that planned, or what about the I guess the newscasts at the beginning of the program?
The newscast was just like when it was in the graveyard scene, just to give it that ominous quality at the beginning, and the same with the newscast, the horoscope, and the music that was played on the radio. Some guys in Austin. Their tunes that we were able to buy very inexpensively.
Something about a sidewalk cafe, or
Fool for a Blonde was one of them. They had their great tunes.
Well, wasn't the guy that rescued you in the end? He was one of the guys in the band.
Yeah, I think so.
You mean the driver of the Black Mariah?
Yeah, the Black Mariah. That was his truck, and it is named the Black Mariah.
I don't think he was in that band though. He was in
another band or something.
He was in Constant Roof.
That's Perry the Rim. That's George Mitchell. He's married to Sheridan Mitchell. George Mitchell and Bill Galveston.
Oh, you're talking about in the blue pickup.
Oh, the blue. That's Perry. Oh, the guy in the truck. You mean?
Yeah, that was Ed.
Oh, I saw him at the Southwest Film Council.
Yeah, he was in another band, but they weren't associated.
Oh, I thought he was in that band. Sorry, disregard.
Well, disregard it. So, yeah, it was so the driver of the pickup truck was the one.
He was also a used car salesman. A few years later, I bought a used car from him.
Now, you live in, is it true you live in Maine now?
Yeah.
And you're a poet?
Yeah,
I don't know, but his features, yeah.
That's
right, and build stone houses. No. That's because I wrote a book
How's
of
the
Bartend
haiku
once.
business?
It's great, it's picking up.
Johnny Legend says hi.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was...
the legendary Johnny?
Legendary Johnny Legend, yeah.
And the legend. So.
Right.
No, I work as a writer now.
So is this surprising at all to you? I know Ed said that his wife can't believe that he still gets checks. What didn't you say, Ed?
Well, I don't believe that he still gets We don't get it.
No, wasn't there? Didn't your wife say how much longer is this? Can this go on?
Check every 3 months, but you never know what they're going to be. Sometimes they're for $2.78. Sometimes they're for a lot more if they've sold a bunch of the footage.
I see.
When
Summer
School came out, we got this big check, and we all called immediately. Said, "What happened? Who died? Who told the truth?" So you never know what the check's going to be.
But yeah, I remember you told me your wife said she couldn't believe.
It's going to go on. I said, forever.
Yeah.
Shame.
You can catch it practically.
Did he just admit you've never seen this film? Why is that? What's your excuse?
I don't know. I just never. I never.
All right. Well, if you come tomorrow, you'll get to see it.
Now you're going to go see it, man. Right?
How about, can I make up by buying something?
Well, now, Ed, I was asking you about the bitterness factor. It's just as far, because I had heard for so long that, that y'all hated Tobe Hooper and that...
well, it's not Tobe that we hate. Toby's certainly wasn't in charge of the distribution people. He had simply cut a deal that wasn't beneficial to us in the pre-disposition of the money. But that's you have either let that go or brood about it for the rest of your life. And most of us have decided to just let that go. But it's not. He's not responsible for everything that happened.
Is he involved at all with any anniversary commemoration, or?
Not yet, but gosh, we'd sure hope to.
How does he feel about it? I mean, does he acknowledge? I mean,
well, I attended the induction into the Hollywood Horror Hall of Fame last October, and he accepted the award and was very gracious and accepted it in behalf of the entire cast and crew, and was very thoughtful and seemed to be real centered and really grateful to be there.
Well, that's good to hear. And were you surprised at all when it got bought and accepted into the Museum of Modern Art collection? Yeah.
Well, you have to understand that they do that not in terms of film excellence, but in terms of films that have made an impact, right, on the American public, regardless of their cinematic value. You know, so to a lot of cinema buffs who only watch Gone with the Wind and Wuthering Heights and Madame Bovary and this kind of thing, to put us on the same shelf with those films upsets them. But the fact remains that there are hundreds of films made every year that are extremely good films, very good films, but they don't impact the American public.
Yeah.
This impacted the American public and still continues to do so.
Yeah. So who are some of the surprising fans that you've encountered? People that...
John Waters.
Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Jeff? He's got
a...
Tell him about Spielberg.
Oh, Spielberg.
Oh, Spielberg Friedkin.
Oh,
yeah.
He
got the idea for Cattle Future.
He thought that was one of the greatest pictures
We hear
ever
that
made.
Bill Miller liked to put it on the VCR.
I talked to him in
Bill
California.
whips out the old
It was great.
sax and, they just lay back and
You were saying you met Steven Spielberg?
Oh, yeah.
He worked on Amazing Stories.
Oh, right.
He's a nice guy. He really thought Chainsaw 1 was great. And he did.
I know Waters has gone on record as saying it's real. His favorite scene is where Leatherface you're rounding the corner, and I guess I watched it. It was almost like a Three Stooges move. Yeah, Keystone Cops.
I did it that way on purpose because earlier in the picture when we were shooting in a chase, I made a hard turn running through the woods chasing Marilyn and fell because my boots had hot 3-inch heels on them and they were slick. So I realized that I couldn't run any other way. If I was going to make a turn, I had to make it like that to stay on my feet.
Yeah, well,
that's why it was like that.
But you see in the movie, I can't, talk with these guys too much because I was the nice guy in the movie.
Oh, I remember you smacked that grin and right when you were Marilyn's friend, when you were Sally's friend, and then you started poking her with the stick.
I didn't kill them. They killed them. I cooked them.
Got no heart for killing.
But yeah, right. But I was always raising the devil with them. They kept bringing rednecks home. And I wanted yuppies because rednecks are stringy. But we did work it out finally.
It can't be helped, little lady. I remember that line.
Yes, I remember that one too.
She was a redneck, so I didn't want to cook her.
Huh, but didn't you say Oliver Stone was a fan, or?
Yes.
Well, I auditioned for him for JFK, and oh wow. Oh gosh, that's terrific. So I ended up being in JFK. A lot of times people will find small things for me to do, just
Well, that's great. I mean,
recognition
to pay homage to you. That's great. Has that happened to everybody here, just about, or?
No, they're all good enough to get jobs on their own. I have to rely on the recognition.
Well, it's I don't know. It's real. Like I say, every time I see some new things every time, and I have some of my favorite lines. But I have to say, Ed, how much of that was improvised?
Some of it was improvised. My favorite thing in the whole film is Jim's line when he comes up to the door. Look what your brother
did to the door, right?
And that was improvised.
Yeah.
Jim just made that up.
A lot of them were.
Gunnar made all his lines.
Well, now that's another thing I've mentioned about this to other people. You can say, how can you take a movie like that from scratch, a low budget, and make a movie that becomes a cult movie, a famous movie? It wasn't because we had bad actors. The secret was we had darn good actors in that show. They just weren't pickup actors that weren't very good. That's the thing that made the show. Here they are, good actors.
The greatest compliment I ever had was when Tobe Hooper got a letter telling him that they were very grateful, very, very pleased that he would use someone from the Austin State School to be in the film and to give them a chance. It was really courageous.
That's one of us.
Is that?
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Was that the mental institution? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
it certainly is. MHMR.
And that was, oh, I remember, Ed, was that the fellow washing the windshield at the...
No.
I think they
I had based my character on my
okay.
nephew, who was a student at the Austin State School. So.
Is that right?
Yes, I owe my entire characterization to my nephew.
I didn't know that.
Who's actually really like that.
Really?
But fairly safe. Has never hurt anyone, but is out there.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
But all of his facial expressions, all of that all came directly from him.
That's really strange because, you know, I never knew that, and the way I got ready to do the Leatherface part was I went out to the Austin State School and spent 2 days or so on campus walking around trying to
met my nephew.
trying to walk the walk. And I was just trying to figure out how to move and have some physical characteristics like that. So maybe we should have dedicated the film to the Austin State School.
I wasn't from there.
You went there too?
No, I went. Yes, my daughter did. So.
Now, but so it was did any of you have any kind of hand in the shaping of, like, I mean, Kim Henkel was a scriptwriter, right? And I guess Tobe Hooper, being director, had an idea, but did a lot of things happen spontaneously? Did anything happen spontaneously, or were there things?
I think a lot of things happened spontaneously. The first week we couldn't use anything we shot, and then we took a rest for about 2 weeks trying to get the script in a shooting order. And we, you know, I think a lot of things happen by accident.
Came back to what I said, good acting. That's really mean that.
After 36 hours, you get creative if you steadily work. We get long shoots. Sometimes we weren't acting. Sometimes we really.
Everybody was trying.
We did try.
Is there anything left from the set at all? Anything? Anybody keep any mementos? Any?
Well, we have the original face here, one of the three masks, the killing with face.
And I guess, what about I'd love to have one of those bird cages that the chicken was in.
There's much left. Somebody's got the chair, one of the grandma in the chair.
Really?
I think Tom Renoni has it.
We were just talking about that. Bob Burns had it for years.
Yeah.
He was the makeup guy, right?
He was the art director.
The art director, right? Okay. Yeah, but I guess this was one of 3 masks, you said?
Yes, there are 3 different faces that Leatherface wears during the movie. So he wears this up until when the other members of the family come home. When they come in the house and see the door that's been cut, when Leatherface comes out, he's wearing an entirely different face. He's wearing a grandma mask.
That's right, the evening attire.
Well, that's before the evening. That's just when they come home and he comes out of the kitchen. And then for the dinner scene on, he wears this face, which is what we call the pretty woman face.
The pretty woman face is undoubtedly my favorite.
The most bizarre face.
I like. Did they cut the scene? I know we shot it, where they had Leatherface crimping, putting his lipstick on and his blush.
Oh, really?
Originally, yeah. If you look at
that was not in
originally in the middle of the dinner scene, Leatherface gets up and goes out of the room, and the camera follows him, and he's already got makeup on his face, but he puts a lot more on, and then comes back in.
You know,
and if you look closely in the picture in that scene, his face, his lipstick and rouge is different at the beginning than at the end. It's much lighter at the beginning of the scene than at the end. Suddenly you look at his face and it's all clowned up. Where you just took the lipstick and just smeared it. It was cut out of it.
Wow. Whose idea was the sunspots? I mean, what as far as like incorporating that into the plot line?
That's
probably Tobe.
those since the beginning of the moon or the sunspots were used since the beginning.
Saturn's in retrograde.
Yeah.
If you look at start studying horror movies, there's always that.
Well, I guess it just was so mind-blowing, you know, so effective at, you know, at the cutting, the editing. Who was it that edited this? Who were the editors? Because I think they deserve a lot of credit too.
Sally Richardson. And,
Sally, yeah, that's right.
Tobe.
Sally Richardson?
Yeah. She was also the person who took a lot of these photos.
She was first AD, wasn't she?
Yeah. Well, she on low-budget films, she probably ended up being 15 different things.
Yeah.
She was really, you know, that's one of the great elements of it. You know, and everything seemed to work with the film. I mean, that's what's so, you know, I think incredible is that it all just works. You know, I mean, I'm a little biased, but that's what I like. When the character of Grandpa, I mean, how long did it take to get into that makeup?
The first time it took about 7.5 hours, and we shot for a long while. The second time they got it done about 4.5 or 5 hours because he'd done it once already. But I was in makeup for
26 hours.
Well
of
over
shooting.
24 hours. It was 26 hours.
The last long shoot was.
And they had to shoot Jim and I out of the film. Jim had to, they had to get rid of him, and they didn't have any more. They would have to do a whole other light mask for me and all that stuff. So they wanted to. So we had a marathon shoot the dinner table.
Yeah, that's a real classic. I mean, the dinner table scene, Scott.
Yeah, that day shooting started at noon on Saturday and ended at 2 on Sunday.
Oh, all night? So you literally caught the dawn as it came up, or?
Well, no, that dawn shot is actually the sunset.
Oh, really?
We took a 24-hour break, came back, and shot again, and then we finished when you escaped. We took a 24-hour break, which was the only break we had over 12 hours, and we came back, was in the morning or midday, and it was you going out the window, coming from the outside, we shot it. And then the rest of that was shot, so by the time we got to the sunrise shot, the sun was going down. So that was actually sunset.
Did you get hurt at all, Marilyn, jumping out of the windows?
What they did was, they have this sugar glass, and it's just on the first level. So they had this girl, Mary Church, jump through the sugar glass and land on a mattress. Well, I wanted to do it, but they says no, you might get hurt. Come on. So she jumps through the sugar glass and jumps on a mattress. The next morning, what they do for me is put up a 6-foot scaffolding. Say, now Marilyn, get up there and then jump down so we can catch your fall to earth. I'm looking down going, I can't do this. I would much rather jump through the sugar glass right onto the mattress. But no. And I must have stood up there. They kept saying action, action. And I'm just going, no. And I mean, that's where I got the nice, I already was working on a limp, but that's what made the ending so realistic, is that limp at the end where I'm running towards, away from,
right.
Okay, well, these guys had a zigzag, not because if they just ran straight, they would have caught me and jumped. But they had to start zigzagging because Marilyn was running as fast as she could on a crippled leg.
You had hurt yourself jumping?
Yeah. I mean, just on that, well, previously there was a few other, 42 takes running into the gas station, at full blast because you wanted to look real. And we didn't think about knee pads till about the 26th take. Maybe we should have put pads on the knees. It looks like there's blood on those white pads. So, you live and you learn. But we should have taken I should have taken a few more precautions. But, you just get your energy up
Sure.
and you get going. Just like Gunnar said today that when he, with Bill Vale, his first killing, he was supposed to pull him out.
You know where he gets hit in the head
with the hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just supposed to grab him and pull him out of the door.
Right.
I picked him up and threw him into the wall because I was just so pumped up for the shot. Like, once I had him, I just lifted him up and tossed him and closed the door. And I mean, it didn't hurt him bad, but it stunned him. He was still groggy when I turned around to get him up.
Yeah. How about the other actors and actresses? The ones that were part of the group.
Didn't enjoy, I'll tell you, hanging on that makeup. It's extremely uncomfortable. And what they do is they, just like poor Peter Pan or any of them, they have to fashion the harness, kind of around
what clothing you've got on.
Around what clothing. And she didn't have much clothing on, so she had a very little harness on. And so you're hanging literally by just a little piece.
Yeah.
And it's kind of uncomfortable after a while. Extremely.
Well, how is is it true? I mean, I read this in the article. One of the fella, Bill, or one of them, he doesn't participate in any kind of retrospective or any kind of. I mean, are all the other actors and actresses, are they favorable about their role in it and enthusiastic about such a claim?
Who knows? I mean, it's hard to know. I think a lot of people, it just might be because they haven't been asked.
Yeah.
I mean, John, this is the first convention you've
Yeah,
been to.
it's the first one I've done. Nobody ever asked me.
Really? Wow. I guess, yeah, you just read a lot, and I'm sure everything in print can be taken out of context.
Oh, everything.
Most of it is a lie anyway. I mean.
Yeah.
You could. I'm amazed at some of the things I've said. I really am.
How about your parents or spouses, or I mean, as far as people find, just their reaction to the film and your role in it? I mean, I'm kind of gushing, and it's a little embarrassing, but I'm totally sincere about how much this film meant to me. My father was a very well-known executive, and he had one of the very first office coffee vending businesses. Office coffee, now everybody has one, but he was one of the very first in all these la-di-da buildings all over Houston. He thought nothing to put in any of my clippings on their board, and I know he did, and the girls would keep him up. So he's proud of it. But I'm just wondering what all these, but evidently they liked it because they still remember me if I run into them. Your father always used to put your stuff on, so all through the offices of Houston he used to. So he's proud. That's great.
He thought it was great. Same with my whole family.
I think my family's the same way. I think that it wasn't a great way to get dates, but
yeah, well, I really appreciate this. I know this is probably running. I feel like I'm going to fall over. I wanted to come, do this. I'll be here tomorrow too.
What kind of documentaries? What are you?
Well, I'm doing this. I mean,
Discovery Channel's beautiful. I mean, doing this. I mean, this is hard to believe.
Actually, the Discovery, we had a film show, a series called The Incredibly Strange Film Show, which was, we had a piece on Waters and a lot of filmmakers, Russ Meyer, right, Ted V. Michaels, and that was something I got really involved with. I mean, it was a good thing for us to attempt. It didn't really do well, unfortunately, and it was a British perspective, and but we took a shot, and we were actually considering acquiring the documentary that was done, A Family Portrait, but that didn't necessarily fly either. I'm doing this as because I'm such a fan, and also hope that that I can get somebody interested. I have friends at Cinemax, HBO, and I'm just trying to, if I can show them there's something here worth pursuing.
Who did you discuss getting the documentary with?
A Family Portrait?
Yeah.
A lawyer, somebody representing it in New York, I think, or New Jersey. I don't even remember his name.
Alan Arlew?
I think so, yeah.
Was this recently?
No, 4 years ago. Yeah. So it's not, and it was something, we wouldn't do it. This...
But he's here, Brad.
I thought I'd say hi. I have more interest in this because Discovery wouldn't be where this goes, but another network, someplace that would show it, because it hasn't even had that much of a cable run. The movie channel, Cinemax, I'm not even sure who's got it. I think but clearly, I think when the more it's recognized as as time goes on, that there's a chance to sell somebody on doing a documentary, and of course I know with Family Portrait they couldn't get the rights, or they didn't try.
They get the rights to what?
Well, as far as showing the film, incorporating that into the body of the program to show the clips from the film. So anyway, this is more or less a vehicle to sell something, and I'm doing a show called Neat Stuff, which is, I'm working on that with Oregon Public Television, which is going to be on collectors and collecting.
Neat stuff. This can be yours.
Actually, and I think Ed would be a great host because you're a movie, a movie poster dealer and a natural, and I'd love to be able to have somebody like Ed do segments for this show.
2 months ago, I couldn't even spell neat stuff, and now I have it.
This is your audition, Ed.
Oh.
This is it.
Let me just whip this out.
Wrong one.
Oh. This is me in drag.
That was your last.
Actually, this is not in the film. This is right after a conversation that Marilyn had with two of the producers on whether she was going to continue filming or not. And so, they hated to waste the footage, so it was later incorporated into the film. And now it's quite wonderful.
But you'd be a great host, though. You could be the Midwest correspondent for it.
Midwest.
I mean, as far as
here we go with that Midwest thing.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking of travel concerns.
We were all having this great discussion earlier about what Midwest is, because I'm from Texas. So anything above Oklahoma and to the right is on the East Coast. And these guys who live up here are going,
No, we don't live up here.
I mean, okay, I've done it again. I've done it again.
You live.
I live on the East Coast.
He lives on the East
Which
Coast.
is on the coast, and it's really far east.
Well,
And he's the only one of us that does. And you
I
live
live in the Midwest.
in the Midwest, which to me is the East Coast.
well, this is the first time I've been to Cleveland, so I didn't even realize it was on a
Which to
body
me
of
is on
water.
the East Coast.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's $44. It's $22 one way to fly from
A
Baltimore
girl in
to
Laredo
Cleveland.
told me that once.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
It's
But that's another
incredible.
story.
From where to where?
From Baltimore, which is about a half hour from D.C. where I live.
Okay.
That's an East Coast.
Yeah, to Cleveland, it's only $22 one way. $44 round trip, which is why I'm here.
Wait, what? You can get
round trip, I can get back home. I mean, I'm about a half hour from D.C., so it's a bit of a drive, but not that bad. It's Southwest Airlines. They've got this special deal.
Wow, that's a deal.
Yeah, $44 round trip.
We can't even get from Austin, Texas to Houston, which is 150 miles for under $70.
Okay, from where I live to Boston, which is 50 miles, $320.
No. Because they can't.
Brad Sheliday, how did you come to make the documentary Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a family portrait? Come on, stand there. Let's stand over here next to the poster. Yeah, there you go. Or just with the poster behind you. Perfect.
I contacted Gunner. A friend gave me Gunner's address. Roughly about 1985. I was in film school in Southern Illinois. And I contacted Gunner after corresponding for maybe a year with him to do a film called Leatherface Unmasked. Because I mean, virtually at that time, nobody had ever seen Gunner, never seen what he looked like. He wrote me back and told me basically that he really didn't want to talk about it any longer, that it had been some years ago, whatever. So what I did, was slightly underhanded toward Gunner, is went out and found John and Ed and Jim, talked them into doing the film, told them what I wanted to do, and then went back to Gunner and basically said, you know, I've got everybody else, you can't not be in it. So he come back, and since out of that has grown a real good relationship. I mean, we're currently putting a book together. I've been putting together for about the last 4 years. We've got about 2 years. I've always had a real interest in chainsaw because of it's such an incredible watershed work, and there's something in chainsaw. I mean, the big question all the time is people ask, what is the attraction of chainsaw to the public? And if I could answer that, I'm sure I would. A lot of people would be grateful, also myself. I can't even begin to say what it is that's in chainsaw that causes people to like it, you know, as much as they do. I love it, and I'm always torn between really enjoying the experience and wanting to take a shower afterwards. You know?
Or trying to analyze it.
Yeah, exactly. I think one thing I've found out is that so many people since, I think it's influenced so many filmmakers, either bad or good. Some people have tried to directly rip it off, and I think a lot of people have emulated parts of it. I think Jason and Michael Myers from Halloween are certainly come out of Leatherface. I don't think there was a beard if Leatherface hadn't. But you know, the influence it had on me was I realized that you could do things with a camera that other people, that you could get very, very close to real life. But I also found out that from talking to everyone in the film and retracing the steps of how it was done and everything, I also found out that you can't do it on purpose. That there's no way you couldn't go into Chainsaw trying to make a remake of it and to say, we're going to get the same feeling as the other film, or we're going to make it as successful as the other film. I think you can make a different film that's just as successful. But I think if you look at Tobe and what he did with Chainsaw 2, you understand that it's, I mean, at least for me, it's sorely lacking.
That should have been outlawed. There's certain films, like there's certain songs that it should be outlawed that you can't do a cover of it. I think there's certain films that shouldn't have sequels made.
Exactly.
It should be a law.
Well, you know, there's no reason. I mean, it's obviously money motivated. I mean, Tobe wanted to do Life Force, and he got up there at, in Canon, and my understanding is that Canon said, sure, we'll give you all this money to do these other films if you'll give us another Chainsaw. Well, I think it showed that that, I mean, it wasn't a success. The film wasn't a success, and then they turned around and, you know, New Line did Chainsaw 3. It was 2 years ago now, and Kim Hinkle's currently in, I believe, doing the post on Chainsaw 4. And I think Chainsaw 2 should have been the blueprint to show that you just shouldn't do it.
I know, it's a real, you know, I hate to use this word, but it's a real tragedy, you know. That,
well, I think it is. I mean, I think it's like, you know, it's pretty much the same as holding something down and putting a stake through its heart. I mean, it's basically what they've done with Chainsaw. I'm just glad that I don't think it's really tarnished the first one. I think people disconnect from the first one and the second one. And that's why, you know, Gunnar had done a lot of negotiation in regards to being in the second one and the third one. And I was so grateful that after they had come out, he had not. Selfishly for me, that he had continued to be, you know, the only Leatherface that I ever thought was, you know, like a man. But let me get back to the original. I don't know what exactly is the draw for Chainsaw.
well, I think it's a personal thing. For me, it was sneaking into the theater when I was 13, and you know, and it literally changing my life. And this was when it was released in '74.
Right.
You know, and it just blew me away.
I mean, I had basically two films, Night of the Living Dead and that one, that I went into knowing very little about. And also, I mean, watched both sitting on the hood of a car at a drive-in. So, I mean, I had a lot. And, you know, usually at any time you went to a horror film, the drive-in, I mean, we both know that the 60s, every weekend, you could go to a triple feature. And most of them were fun, fairly antiseptic, pretty bloody, but there wasn't a whole lot of talent or worrying about aesthetics quality and things like that. The Corman stuff was fun from the Gothic point of view.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I felt like crawling into the car both times watching Chainsaw and Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
So I think that's the visceral impact of the film. It's just the idea of one, almost repellent, but not. I mean, I hate somebody to take that wrong. Not repellent in the way that.
Well, I think it just works on every level. I mean,
Yeah.
you can see humor in it, you can see absurdity, you can see terror, you can see just a masterpiece of all the elements of filmmaking that you want to aspire to, just all the happy coincidences and all the just great strokes of luck, brilliant luck, timing, everything just works.
I think that's what everybody misses is that. Such as Leatherface, I've had this argument with people before. Bill Johnson playing him in the second one, and then, you know, different people playing him after that. He becomes a non-cursor from the second one on. I mean, he has really no personality. In the first one, he, you know, holds his hands, he shuffles. It's the way he hunches and holds his shoulders. And as Gunnar had explained in my documentary, you know, he went to the Austin State School for the mentally impaired to see how people walked and people acted, and I think that really shows. And I don't think that filmmakers after that realized that that's the things you had to do, and that's the things that made the film work. And I really think the fans did. I mean, I think that's really the explanation of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because the fans saw it, but the cynicism of the business was that they didn't have to, you know, or they were too blinded or just weren't involved enough to do it.
Yeah. Are you happy and satisfied with the response to your documentary, A Family Portrait?
Yeah, I am. It's a real classical motion picture story, because I sold it to a video distributor in Florida who proceeded to really take everything out from under me. Really took the carpet tax and all out from under me. I ended up suing him to get the rights back. But that aside, I can look at it now, you know, go back and look at it and see 100 things I'd change. But as opposed to, you know, what I did then and the money that I had, and the response has been great. So yeah, I'm real happy.
That's cool. What are you doing now?
Well, I'm working on this book with Gunnar that has literally taken all my time. It's in regard to a serial killer in Texas that I've been researching.
I see.
For a long, long time. And that has become just more involved and more involved.
So you're not doing filmmaking now, right now?
Not at the current time. There's a film coming up in Wisconsin that will be directed by a man named Damon Fox. And Damon is shooting a film called Unsane. He hopes it to be, we all hope it to be, the most literal translation of the Ed Gein case. So I'll be shooting a behind-the-scenes documentary on that for pre-production, post-production. And hopefully that's going to start sometime in October.
Can you tell me about how you acquired the mask? Let's go over here. And this is the third Leatherface mask.
This is the principal, the killing mask.
This is the killing mask.
Yeah. The way I acquired it was pretty. It was actually pretty mundane. I spoke to Bob Burns while I was doing the documentary, and sadly to say, Bob didn't make the final cut, but. Bob still had the mask, 3 or 4 assorted pieces, and he had the mask just after the film had ended. He had put it on shelf, and it had sat there. I contacted Bob roughly about a year later, asked him if it was possible that he could make me a copy of the mask, that I could, so I had to have the closest to the original as I could. The mask was taken off of the face mold of Jay Parsley, who was the producer. Bob called me back after I talked to him, and 3 or 4 days later had told me that he could no longer find the molds for Jay Parsley's face or anything, and subsequently just said, "How about if I sell you the original?" Well, I mean, my response, of course, wasn't that old sweaty thing. My response was, "Yeah, sure," and we negotiated out what we both thought was fair, and I've got it ever since.
Wow. You know that should be in the Smithsonian, don't you?
Yes, very, very much so. I've had people tell me that. I'm very soon going to get it hermetically sealed. At least that will do some. The problem with latex and everything is that it degenerates. It has been sealed, so there's no more degeneration in it. The problem is that the whole time Bob had it, it had basically sat on a shelf in elements and had done dirty deeds to the thread and everything in the seams. But I'm really happy with it. I mean, 98% of it's still there.
What's Bob Burns doing now?
Well, I see Bob all the time. He's still doing a lot of art direction, but he's moved into a lot of acting. He did a film called Confessions of a Serial Killer where he played the lead.
Oh, he was the lead in that? That was on cable.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't think it was very good.
Well, I think it's.
Again, you know what? You know what it is? It's like how nobody can match Chainsaw. The first. I don't think people can match Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Well, I think that was the exact thing they were trying to do. Certainly.
Yeah.
And
that's another masterpiece, I think.
Yes, I think so too. I mean, it shows you how visceral you can get with the camera and not have to get bloody at the same time.
Exactly. That's why I talked to him blue in the face about this, about just that very reason, that there's no blood, and that's one.
And the greatest testament to why the greatest testament to this film working is that I don't know how many people at how many conventions I've talked to, and Gunnar and everybody can certainly back this up, is that I don't know how many fans you will run into that will tell you it was brilliant when they saw the hook go into Terry McMinn,
right?
Or they saw the chainsaw hit Paul Partey, And I mean, the only time in that movie you see the saw hit anybody is Leatherface. He drops it and it hits himself in the leg.
Exactly.
And the only other, thing that you actually see any contact is when the sledge hits Bill Bale. But I mean, they will tell you that somebody was disemboweled on the screen, and critics will do the same thing.
Well, Senator Paul Simon, dragged through the mud when he thought that he saw it on a hotel TV. That prompted all this legislation he was trying to pass regarding violence on television back in the mid to late 80s, and he kept dragging Chainsaw through the mud. And I know it never was on TV. It was never on cable. He saw Scarface.
It has shown in Texas on TV. But the funny thing is, you look at it now. The title is such a work of genius, because if you look at it now, you could broadcast Chainsaw.
Oh, I agree.
And the whole, I'm veering off into a strange little, part of it that really angers me is that this whole violence on television thing. They want to really bitch, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, about Chainsaw and things like that. Use us as this great model of why our society is falling apart and things like that. But go over sometime and check out in Japanese or Chinese television. These guys have got beheadings and things exploding at 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
They're bringing out stuff like The Wandering Kid that's making TV. You had massive rape scenes at 10 and 11 o'clock on TV up there. So.
Hey, Brad, can you tell me you're obviously a tremendous fan. Can you tell me the first time you saw Chainsaw and what it meant to you? Do that one experience? Because I know I can certainly remember mine.
Right, I can certainly remember it. It came out, and the title is what hit me. I figured going into it, a film with a title like this, if this film is terrible, this title has done it. I mean, because your advertising in the 60s and early 70s was so great, and they've completely lost that feel. All the stuff with the guys with the great voices, Texas Chainsaw, and all this kind of stuff, and the background stuff. I went into Chainsaw thinking, this might be good, because I always liked the real.
Please, has anybody picked up a set of car keys? We're missing an important set of car keys. We think was lost in this room. Anybody seen a set of car keys? Please maybe look underneath your tables. You never know. Somebody might have kicked them underneath or something. Thank you.
I think the
green 94 Maserati? No, I haven't seen it.
I went into it because, like I say, I really like this backwoods rural America thing. I always had, even in the real subdued tame stuff, with Gator and all that kind of stuff, out White Lightning, all that booze runner, deliverance type.
Sure, I raced with the devil. I'll never forget.
Right, yeah. I mean, all this stuff's always held a real fascination for me. So I went into it knowing it was something like that. Well, needless to say, come Ed shows up on the screen, and I do not know how to deal with it at all. I mean, I don't know where this guy's coming from. And by time, one of the real pivotal points in my life, at least in impression, is Leatherface, the killing of Bill Vale, and the slamming of the door. I mean, that right there solidified everything that I thought could be done with film. If the time was right, because up to then nothing ever had, except for, like I say, Night of the Living Dead, which had made a huge impression.
Yeah.
But
do you remember where you saw it?
I saw it at the Memory Drive-In in Milan, which is gone now. Of course, everybody, big business is taking over. But yeah, sitting on the hood of my dad's car. But it was quite an experience. But see, I really don't lose that though. See, I can sit down and watch Chainsaw now and still have the same feeling.
Oh, sure. I'm the same way. I just remember that first time. It just something about it just kind of.
Yeah, I'm sure it's less than some, but it still makes the hair.
Oh, I can watch it every time. My favorite thing is turning people onto it. Watching it with other people.
And it's one of those films that I can throw in. Some people will throw in a CD of whatever while they're working, and I can throw in and listen to Marilyn scream for a night. It's some in a strange sense, it's relaxing. I don't know, familiar. I guess it's familiar as a car accident. But
well, Brad, thanks a lot.
Sure.
I appreciate it. This is great. I really appreciate it.
Well, I hope the whole thing comes off.
Yeah, well, I just want to be, at the very least, I believe in documenting this, and I just, I hope that I can, just sell the idea. Just, for me, it was just a thrill to come out and meet everybody. I met Ed in January, and, I know he's a movie poster dealer, and I met him at a convention, and I almost fainted, and I just kind of then found out about this.
If you need any help, any props, anything comes about that you need to shoot anything.
Where do you live now?
Rock Island, Illinois.
Do you have a card?
All you'd have to do is, I'll tell you what.
Let me get your card, because, here we are, the second day of the... That's all right, no apology necessary. How are you?
Pretty good.
Here we are at the second day of the... Third day. Pardon me, Morris. This is my second day.
Third day.
Day number 3. And it's, hello.
Hello there.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
All the way from London for
That's
this.
right, all for Film Fair, yeah.
That's your show.
That's my show.
But this is Morris's show.
This is Morris's show, he comes and does mine.
Oh, that's nice.
So I've come over to do his.
You having a good time?
Oh, yeah. I'm over and I'm going up to New York tonight,
good.
and then go and see a few more shops and various things, and try and get a few more people interested in the fair.
Yeah, well, let's go down this way. Let's see what's happening down here.
All right.
Let me get my bag. People aren't...
I don't want to step on any toes.
Well, there's Ed Neal. I don't think he's too happy. There's Gunnar Hansen. It's a bit of a sparse crowd. They actually held up the screening of Chainsaw because nobody's here. Nobody's here yet.
No, not at the moment. They're going to screen it in
It's
10
a half
minutes.
hour late, 10 minutes, but nobody's here to watch Chainsaw, which is why I came. It's kind of sad, you know?
It is really. I mean, when we come to film fair in London, we get about 2,000 people come to mine.
Well, Chainsaw was banned in London.
It was.
So it's really like quite an event when it's shown there.
It's a pity there's not more people.
Right here? Yeah, I know. There's maybe a handful. Yeah, well, I'm here. I came from D.C. for this.
Did you?
It's very important for me to be here. Anyway, let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the other things going on. This is what's your name, by the way?
Donald Walker.
Donald Walker. I've seen your name before.
Yeah, it's all over. It's advertised all over the world. You know, I advertise everywhere.
Are you a writer too? Do you write?
I do interviews and I'm writing a book of different stars and things, you know. I've interviewed Chainsaw people here. We've had Joan Collins come to our fair before. You know, she's coming to do a signing in May.
Well, I'm glad. If I can scrape together the bread, you might see me there. But
we get about 2,000 people.
2,000 people, I know.
In one
Yeah,
day.
that's quite a few people. Yeah. Well, there's about 1,950 less here.
Yes. Well, it's unfortunate, but it'll work. People get to know.
Let's go down here. I'm going to check out. Let's see what's going on. Want to follow me or join me on a little trip down?
Yeah, they did eventually find it. It's Jimmy. It's a Jimmy.
Gunner. There's Brad.
So anyway, to me,
Hey.
What's going on there?
Good to see you. Day number 3. Day number 2 for me. You look like you're in a morning frame of mind.
More or less.
What's your name? Can't see it. Mike?
Yeah.
You go to these things a lot?
Nope.
This is the
Your
one
first time?
Yeah.
This is the one that has
Your first horror convention.
Henry has a glass eye.
Love in his eye.
Well, what do you think?
Henry looked at her with blood in his eye.
It's dead.
But you look like this is something that you do on a regular basis. You got an Ed Gein button.
Well, that didn't come from here.
Where'd that come from?
That came from where I come from.
Which is where?
Kansas.
That's where Ed did his work?
No, he's out of Wisconsin.
That's what I thought. How did you get the button?
We have a formal club.
A formal club? What's the full name?
It's the Ed Gein fan club.
And did you form it?
No.
Well, isn't it kind of odd? I don't mean to say odd, but it's strike that unusual to have a fan club for a notorious murderer.
No, not in Kansas.
Not in Kansas? Can you tell me a little bit about it?
This is just a club. We trade what memorabilia there is. There isn't a lot. And it's just actually more or less a good excuse to get drunk.
Tell me a little bit about Ed Gein.
Gein, well, he was when he had a brother, and his brother died first.
Well, that's all right. I mean, you could go cut to the history that.
What did he do?
Right.
He was a murderer, a cannibal, and a necrophiliac.
What's your attraction to that?
Necrophilia.
Really? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you know what it is.
It's sex with the dead. And is that something that you are you a voyeur with that, or is
No,
it?
what we actually are Satanists.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's more of us in Kansas than there is anywhere else in the country.
But can I ask you on camera if that's something you engage in?
Oh no, we don't actually engage in. It's illegal.
Well, that's encouraging. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. I mean, I believe in it. The principles that this country was founded on, and you're free to believe and engage in anything that you'd like as long as it's within the limits of the law. I mean, I'm here. What? Do you have a card?
No.
Or an address? I mean, that's really interesting. Have you ever been on TV before?
No, of course not.
Well, you're pretty good spokesman for this for the club. It sounds really interesting. Is there any place I could get in touch with them? I mean, if we wanted to do a longer piece.
We're basically underground.
Oh.
The only reason for bringing the button out is, see, Ed Gein was the guy who was behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. His history is what caused them to make the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right. Speaking of which, I think it's going to screen soon. You going to see it?
Probably not.
Well, Mike, I'm going to go get some breakfast. So I'll catch up with you later.
All right.
Okay? Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. And away we go. Oh my God. This is Marty Davis, partners with Morris Everett in the last moving picture.
Not the last
moving Vintage Films.
Vintage poster.
Vintage Films part.
Convention
I'm sorry.
auctions.
And tell us how the auction went last night.
Went very well. We sold, set a lot of records for specific pieces. We had a lot of things that had never been auctioned before. We sold a Disney animation poster for $27,500, The Mother Goose Goes Hollywood, which is a Silly Symphony poster from 1939, which I think is the high price for a Disney poster paid at auction in this country.
Wow. What about some of these? Did these sell? Here's a Chaplin.
To be honest with you, it was so hectic last night that I haven't analyzed what sold and what passed. We did have some passed lots.
Well, can we come back and interview you with your collection sometime?
Sure, I'd like that.
Great.
I'd be glad to.
Yeah, well, this has certainly been quite a trip, and this is all I'm taking back is video of some of these posters because I couldn't afford them. Did they all sell, or?
They didn't all sell. We had maybe 10% of the lots passed, if that.
Well,
that's it.
Which is pretty good. Yeah, we had a lot of things go way over estimate, did 2 and 3 times what the estimate was, including a honky tonk poster with Sophie Tucker that was estimated at I think 1,000 to 1,500 that sold for 49,500.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Any high-profile collectors here? I mean, any celebrity collectors?
High-profile bidders, but they do it through either representatives here on the floor or by the telephone.
Like Scorsese?
We have had Scorsese and Spielberg and Michael Jackson and Debbie Reynolds and a number of others who have purchased, through representatives or phone bidding from us.
I see. Well, thank you very much. I don't want to let you get to work. I know we're getting ready to screen Chainsaw in here, which is the reason I came. Is this the reason you came, sir?
Yeah.
To see Chainsaw? Looks like you and me. Thanks a lot, Marty.
Okay. We're the ones.
You and me and Don from England over there. And there's Jim Sedow.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Jim. You're just a cook.
Just a cook.
Been wanting to say that to you. Well, I tell you, this is I think if we actually probably if you just start screening it, people will come in. That's the nature of these conventions, For the most part, you don't really get people who come to, going to a movie theater. They kind of pop in and out.
Yeah. See something going on.
Yeah, it's hard to get them to sit still and watch something from beginning to end. That's been my experience from conventions.
Oh, yeah. Somebody will be here.
Well, I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to go get some breakfast.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, we'll see you.
There's Mrs. Sedow.
There you go.
You checked us out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gave him the key.
Yeah.
So we're all clear.
Yeah.
So now it's just me that you saw has not been.
Missed Gunner's introduction. This is Gunnar Hansen.
Right, I just did a brilliant and brief introduction to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I talked about how miserable we were when we made the picture, how much we smelled, particularly how much I smelled from the clothes we couldn't change, how much the food smelled. how miserably hot it was, and how we never thought this would amount to much.
And the light.
And now here we go. Fade in. Fade out, fade in. Smash cut too.
Thank you. Lights are now out. It's on video. Are you kidding?
Answer to that, I have no idea how they got John Larroquette. In fact, I never realized it was him until maybe 6 or 8 years ago, when my friend Brad Shelley pointed it out.
That
of
it
course,
was-
that it's
yeah.
him, and evidently it's something he's not proud of.
Really?
Well, I get that impression, but
Wow. Does anybody here know? Edmund?
Brad might have.
Brad? John Larroquette was is the narrator at the beginning of Chainsaw.
He was a friend of Toby's.
Really?
Yeah, he was a disc jockey in Austin. And Toby just happened to hear him on the radio one time and really liked his voice. It's one of those facts that you never really hear about. I heard Larroquette talk about it on Johnny Carson.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, I had the impression that he wasn't very proud of having done it. Is that true, or is that just a myth?
I don't think he really is. I don't think he brings it up unless it's...
Well, how did Carson bring it up, or did he bring it up?
No, he brought it up, but I think he just brought it up as an icebreaker.
Hmm.
I think it was one of those things where somebody said something about how bizarre little things he had done in his career. He said, well, I was a narrator for him. But I don't think he brings it out if it isn't initiated sometime.
Doesn't he understand that it's the high point of his career? The greatest film he's ever made?
Chainsaw Night Court, no comparison.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Of course, he made Choose Me, which I think is a great movie.
Yeah.
This is great. Who did the soundtrack here?
Wayne Bell.
I tell you, I was 13, like I've said about half a dozen times, you know.
It makes the movie.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, there's a point in the movie which I think is the most shocking point, which is when the first victim is killed and Leatherface grabs him, pulls him out of the doorway, and slams the door shut.
Right.
And that big, heavy metal door slams shut. Well, the first when I saw that, I was really impressed, but then later, watching it again and again, I realized what makes it so impressive, as much as anything, is the soundtrack underneath. And in fact, at that point, when the door slams, there's been no music scoring at all. Suddenly, there's this single, heavy tone. It's really low, and it starts right when the door slams, and it just sustains for, it seems like, 30 seconds.
The slamming of the door, yeah.
And it just makes this deep, heavy rumbling that kind of vibrates your body from that door slamming, and that's what makes that, to me, what makes the scene such a shocker and so frightening and disturbing. And if you listen to the movie, we tend to not listen, we tend to watch the movie. A few years ago, there was a interview with a couple people in Austin on a local TV station, and they showed a clip from the film, and a friend of mine just made an audio tape of the interview, and they kept the audio tape on while they showed the 3 or 4 minutes of film, and it's really frightening to listen to the audio tape. You can't see what's going on in the film, but what's frightening about it is the sound. And I realized that what you're listening to really is the music track and how disturbing it is. And I think that's something that doesn't get enough credit in the film.
Was anything available on tape or video? I mean, on record?
No, as far as I know, there's no.
I tell you, I love that. I love the radio broadcast at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff going on, all that just insane newscast.
It's going on right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Guy talking about the bodies. I was just going to say that the underlay for the credits on this group, solar flares.
Oh yeah, I love the flares.
It'd be interesting to see it in a theater with a group of people.
You know, that whole opening in the graveyard is actually a post.
Is what?
It's all an afterthought by Tobe.
You're kidding?
Yeah, because Bob Bernstein always talked about how he really hated the corpses in the graveyard. So Bob didn't do the corpses.
He didn't
Bob
like
always
that.
said they really look slapped together, which I think they look gross. I think Tobe did a good job because I think they really look like they're decaying. Bad. But yeah, it's an afterthought. The whole lead-in, the way he did it. And I think it's really inspiring.
Oh yeah.
The flashes and everything.
Well, I remember when I first saw it, I was thinking, what is going on here? This is not the movie that I have a script of. Because of all of the stuff at the beginning just wasn't there. And I didn't like it at first. The first time I saw it, I thought, hey, you're missing the point of the movie. And course, again, it
It's
wasn't.
an interesting story. They're showing the armadillo, right?
Which Joel and Ethan Coen used at the beginning of Blood Simple.
Right.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, the day they went there to do the filming, right by that armadillo, which Bob had found out a long time ago, hit on the highway, and Bob Burns, Bob did a taxidermy job on it. It's still sitting on Bob's shelf at his house. But when they got there that day, in the ditch, right across from where they were shooting, was a dead horse that had been hit by a truck. That was really bloated and really nasty. And Bob, the first thing Bob said was, let's shoot over this. And he said it was one of the great things he thought Tobe missed. Because Tobe wouldn't do it because it was far too gross. They said you couldn't get close to it, with flies all over it. Bob said, this is perfect. This is like made to order. Shoot right over the head of this thing. Tobe was dead.
Well, that armadillo is great. I think the Coen brothers used a tire, but if it wasn't conscious, it was definitely a subconscious reference.
Well, we should go eat it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'll see you in a little bit. God, I love this movie. There he is, Mike Kelly, Satanist, lover of necrophilia. Ed Gein fan club. Are you the president, Mike?
Oh, no, I'm just a member.
How many people are involved?
What, is the locally or nationally?
Both.
40,000.
40,000 members of the Ed Gein fan club?
Yeah, if you're going national, and of course that's not necessarily what there is in Europe too. I don't know about the European people. But I know there are members in Europe.
40,000 members nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the president?
It changes so often that.
What do you guys do when you get together?
This is, like I said, it's an excuse to get drunk.
The sugar on top is sorry, mine and Kim.
Well,
pretty pleased with sugar on top.
Actually, you got to sign my book.
it's quite the thing to be a fan of. I saw Jeffrey Dahmer's homicide report in here.
I have a copy.
You do?
White Messiah.
What's that?
Jeffrey
No
Dahmer,
smear.
the White Messiah.
What's your name?
My name? Twisted Chris. I'm Twisted Chris from California, hanging out with my buddy Ed here in Cleaverland.
This is an extreme example of what you can get when you put beef stew with thalidomide and take it in the same evening.
Thank you. But it also proves why tigers do eat their young.
That's
Thank
right.
You. My mother had an only child, but she meant lonely.
Or just leave it out, otherwise it'll smear.
Right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, pal.
What are you bugging him about now?
Oh, I got to get the photo from.
He's gonna try to trade you those bottles. I'm not kidding.
I am, man.
Yeah.
You got the Michigan hot
There was an operative
Michigan hot
word in
returnable
that
bottles
phrase.
that you can trade at this convention for any still that you would exclusively like.
Michigan what?
We don't like the opera.
Michigan returnable bottles. They're worth 10 cents.
Oh, I see.
Hey,
See?
Ken,
You
here.
can trade anything at the show.
Hold on to these
with
for us.
those
I
bottles.
stole them from Ed.
It's
Okay.
Kevin, right?
No, Steve O'Sullivan Dwyer. The third.
Brian.
Polanski.
You're Brian.
He's Roman Polanski's illegitimate child.
Can you break it down?
Yeah.
How about $2?
Yes. Keep going. We'll get there.
3,
What?
4, 5.
We just mail things like this out to our members.
It is. It's the.
To all your members?
To all.
How many members you got?
Couple hundred. Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, you need some more of those?
Yeah.
I'll give you some.
Oh, you only give me two, huh?
Right.
See how you are?
You ain't beautiful, baby.
Man, I was gonna have my girlfriend come and blow you to have her sign a shirt, but
No, I gave that up as a bare and social amusement.
9.
thank you.
It ain't, man.
No, if you need some more of those, I got some more.
10.
Okay, we'll take them all. He's trying to, don't let him give you those faces.
Failed remedial math twice.
I gotta count this again.
The only reason he got out of school was somebody, or
He's in remedial math class, and they go, when I count to 2, everybody start their tests.
But I gotta count it one more time.
no.
Is this some high dollar transaction here?
Some severe. This is the essence of our business.
dollar
This is what happens on Sundays
transaction.
when the drugs have run out.
We just get money.
And the lithium is just starting to kick in. This
Right around noon.
This is what happens. Right around noon. This is the process that takes place. I was going to get you some flyers.
Okay, we'll take all the flyers you got, because we're the flying kind of
What's this business called?
It's called trying to scam the people to get the money.
Oh, you're Ken, is this your table?
Yeah, it is.
It's Ken Kish, Video Wasteland. You can give them to them, sir, and she will take care of everything, for she is the wise one.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, but wait, make sure he doesn't forget our buttons. We ain't getting that zombie. Edwin Mill.
I pay this money, I guarantee I'm getting this zombie.
Did you tell him it's $80 now?
Yeah, right.
Zombies are just stable 55 hours.
55 to stay alive.
Unless I'm in California when the price goes up to 70.
I think so. I want to copy.
Depends where you are in the country.
Cops.
What's that?
Bad boys, what you gonna do? Around cops?
That's it.
I was on True Stories of the Highway Patrol, you know. I was, dude. But they confiscated the tape. They wouldn't give it to me.
Why is that?
What was it?
Because I didn't pull the gun out from underneath my suit, that's why. They pulled me over for endangerment and escaping and abetting and child molestation and something like that. But it wasn't me. It was just my car. I didn't know there was a 12-year-old little girl in it. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah, she looked 13.
I'm telling you, man. But hey!
Let me just get a good. Mrs. Cedow. This is Mrs. Jim Cedow?
This is Jim Cito.
Mrs. Jim Cedow. It's your first name?
Ruth.
Ruth Cedow. Okay. I just had to stop you in the hall to say how much I really loved your husband's performance. I love this film. It's probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Good grief. It's if not my absolute, just one of my favorite films. I have several, but that's certainly right up there.
That's good to know. It's one of ours, too, as a matter of fact.
What is your reaction to all this enthusiastic response to this film?
It's pleasant. We did not expect it. We thought it was probably going to be a Class A or B drive-in movie and would not go anywhere. And of course, it's become a cult film.
So you're not surprised?
No.
What did you think? What was your personal reaction to it?
Well, I didn't realize it was as good as it was at the time because it was still new, and we heard so much later about the violence in it, and there truly, most of the violence is implied. It's not there, particularly by today's standards.
No, I agree with you.
It was an understated. You imagined it. It was intimated, and.
What are some of your favorite scenes? Do you have any?
Well,
the ones your husband.
Any that Jim is in, I like the scene that I just saw it again, where the man Franklin using the roadside bathroom in his wheelchair.
Your husband has some of the best lines in the film.
Yeah. Look what you've done to the door. Always a beauty. I don't know that I have favorite scenes.
Well, I really again want to congratulate you. It's quite. How long have you been married?
47 and a half years.
Are you an actress?
Yeah, in theater at home.
And is that in Texas?
Yes, Houston.
So Jim's still working, and
We're both basically retired. We do cameo roles. Is all. As Jim says, it's easy to learn the lines. Now it's difficult to remember them.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And it's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye. Gunnar Hansen and Ed Neal. This is it.
That's fine.
Here it is, Gunnar.
see how you get the mask. But,
I see that difference.
It's like this post-retro art.
It's not you.
No, it's not. Here's the best shot of the movie. So you can see the different. He's got that other mask.
Man, that's amazing. What else? Do you have anything else? Yeah. Do you have anything else?
I can't tell Marilyn's as tiny as she is.
Gunnar, was this hard to do, that scene with the chainsaw on your leg?
Well, I was worried about it because they wouldn't tell me how they were going to do it. And every time I'd ask, Tobe would say, "Well, we don't know, but don't worry about it. We're going to do it last." Meaning, if I got hurt, it didn't matter to them. So
here it is.
Originally, they were going to have a grip copy with the saw. They're going to get the shot close enough that somebody else was handling the saw on my leg. And that was the only thing I refused to do. I told them that I would not allow anyone else to handle the saw. That I had to be on it if I was going to be the one to get it cut.
So you were actually holding it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I wasn't going to let somebody else hold it and cut into me. So, it's a hard shot. And of course, my favorite shot.
God.
The tantrum.
Actually, I swing it right at the camera. This big show right past.
Bravo.
I swung at the camera because I knew Tobe was there. He was standing right by it and they were running away from me, so I swung it. So I wanted to just get one swing at it.
Bravo, bravo.
Thanks a lot, Pete. All right, let's get our pictures in. Kind of.
What's your favorite scene from the film?
Definitely the thigh cutting scene. Most horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because by that time you're so exhausted and you're so into the yeah, that's mine, and the camera too. Oh, okay. We're parked right next to him.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Let's get crowd reaction. A stunned crowd. Don, how many times have you seen Chainsaw?
A few. It's nice to see it again though. After all this time, I mean, after 20 years, it's quite a lot of people still interested in it, you know. So it's nice to see it again.
I guess they Bravo!
So what's this going out on? Is this for yourself?
We're here at the panel discussion now. And an autograph signing.
Here we go. And he's getting a bunch out. And what we're doing is we're doing individual black and whites at 8 and the color at 10. And then we have the group picture. We have 3 different ones. Any one of them is 22 with our signature.
Mug for the camera. I gotta ask these young men, what's your favorite scene from Chainsaw, fellas?
Leatherface.
Pardon me?
Leatherface.
Leatherface. You know, this is the this gentleman right here is the original Leatherface.
Right here.
Right here.
What do you think?
Right here.
Did you like the movie? Was it scary?
No, Wesley wasn't scared at all. You weren't scared for a second.
Wesley looks like a pretty tough guy.
He is tough. He's got his Harley t-shirt on. Jim, don't set your hand down on
I want to know
all that stuff.
Hi, Jim.
How are we doing?
All right. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Smudge it, Ed. Smudge it.
What's the oddest thing you've been asked to autograph, Marilyn?
Don't ask. She can't say that on public television. I've signed several 48Ds.
Somebody,
And it's to Wesley and Travis, or one to
somebody
Wesley?
asked me to sign their anatomy. I didn't always do it when they, were they particularly requested it.
But she didn't have a fine tip pin on them, so.
You change your hair color.
I said I'd carve it in. No, we're not. We're going to do that. We're not just using the pen.
What's your favorite scene that's a still of yourself? I know there's.
Gosh.
That's from Maryland.
They are in the woods. And,
well,
this is from the film Splatter?
Future Kill.
Future Kill, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was a different look. I get to kill Ed in that one. That was fun. You know, I drove him.
And that one says, Wesley, I know where you live.
We're at the point where we've signed too many.
I don't know. There's a lot of them. I think I love this montage. I think that's good.
This one right here?
Yeah, I like the way they did that. And there's some real good ones of me covered in blood.
When we get to the
I mean, in Hershey's Carousel. I mean, those are priceless. I don't know where they are now.
I kind of like this one just because I love Jim's face. I always loved his face in the at the table.
Look at the group shot on the porch. Look at Jim's face in that one.
Oh, that's a great, yeah.
Look at the pose.
Wait. You have to understand when you
Just crack up every time I look at it.
Yeah, I know, it's great. It's
His posture and his face and everything.
So, I guess you were telling me about Larroquette's involvement.
Oh, that's a scream. In fact, I was at Samuel French on Hollywood Boulevard, which is a famous where you get all your good plays. And here's this guy that's just won a bunch of Emmys, and he taps me on the back and he goes, "Marilyn Burns," and I went, "It was you." It was because we met at Tadio when he did the voiceover, and it was his first thing he ever did. And so here this famous television star turns around and recognizes me, and I was amazed because it was his first job.
It was John Larroquette's first job?
First job in Hollywood. And so, you know, I'm looking at him like, "I'd like your autograph, please," you know, and he's saying, "My God, don't you know the story you're about to see is true." And I remember the day I was on stage when he taped it with it. It's just that, you know, I never realized that was one and the same guy, you know, and he certainly remembered me because it was his first job.
Yeah, that's really something, though. I mean, that's quite a trivia question.
Yeah, I know. What was doing? That is.
His very first, but he was a DJ in Austin, wasn't he?
I don't know. I met him in California. I think the director might have known. Tobe might have known. But I mean, I remember being very impressed. I thought he was, you know, had been out there forever, you know, doing us a favor. I didn't realize it was his first movie.
Well, he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Everybody believed him.
I guess that it'd be nice to see him come out and take part in something like this, but at least he's not embarrassed by it. I mean, there's no reason.
He's got a good sense of humor, you know?
And he was fired.
That's great. Well, that's what you need. That's what everybody needs for this.
Yes, everybody does need it.
For the film here. So it's has anybody had any contact with the Ramones?
I do.
Yeah.
You know,
I just missed doing their video. They wanted me in their new MTV video, and I couldn't get down there in time.
I know. I guess that their song "Chainsaws."
They're big fans, and I'm obviously big fans of theirs. They're really nifty guys, and I wish everybody could know them, you know, as just people, because the image they have, you know, this headbanger kind of thing. They're really nifty people. They're really.
And Johnny's a big horror collector.
Oh gosh, they've got some wonderful posters, and have been avidly collecting a long time. It's just that they're very knowledgeable about posters, and they don't just run in and just buy a bunch of stuff and pay outrageous prices. They're very careful about what they buy, and rightfully so. But they've got some wonderful stuff.
Did they tell you how they what their first experiences were with Chainsaw?
Just they, you know, always liked it, and we're inspired by it.
Yeah.
They didn't need any inspiration. These guys are. I love their stuff, and I've loved them for a long time. You know, I've been following them forever. So whenever we see them at the shows, it's always a big treat. You know?
So they wanted to have you in the video. What were they going to have you do?
Oh, just something silly, something amusing. But they've been kind enough to try and include me several times in things they've done, and like when they're in town, they'll leave backstage passes for me, and I'll try and sneak them some posters that I put together for them. You know, that kind of thing. or find them some things that I know they're looking for, because sometimes they're looking for certain things like Jailhouse Rock or something like that. So it's always fun trying to find them stuff.
That's great.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen their collection?
No, I've never seen their whole collection.
I know Johnny's real private. We're trying to get him
Well, a
involved
lot
in
of
neat
them are,
stuff.
because a lot of collectors are not just the Ramones, because you know the last thing you want to do is leave a catalog laying on the table and go, here's what I have in my home.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
because then you got people knocking on your door for up until 4 in the morning trying to get your stuff, either just to see it or to steal it, you know. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get down and see your collection, Ed.
Now you can see my collection because I have 2 guard dogs and a mother-in-law, and nobody gets in my place.
Sorry.
First I gotta stop home and kill the wife. My favorite is the
Thanks very much.
He's the original Leatherface. He worked for the parole office in Texas. And the guy just had a chemical, a lead imbalance in his brain. They had him on medication. He was working at 15 minutes.
How long were you there?
By 2.
Oh, okay.
Looking for the blasted fade button. There it is.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, we can just talk.
So, did you have some questions?
Why? Put me on the spot now.
Well, this is a panel, and
We can talk
you
about it.
seem to be the one person. No, 2 people who came to the panel.
And I'm hogging all the questions.
I'd like to ask a question.
When do we go?
Don't you have any respect? Don't you have any pride in your home?
Those are neat. It turns out right.
Where's my T-shirt?
How much does Henkel or whoever credit the story of Ed Gein and really the basic the premise for the story behind Chainsaw?
When we were making the movie, I had asked Tobe and Kim about that.
Huh? Do you have a
And
large?
what they told me was that
Okay, I'd love to have one.
that they had just decided to make a movie about a whole family of Ed Geins. That it isn't so much the Ed Gein story as what if we had a whole bunch of farmers, a whole group of them who were like him. Brad, you might ask Brad, because it seems to me Brad talked to him not too long ago, and he said no, that it wasn't based on Ed Gein at all. It made it all up. So
Really?
that's what I remember them telling me. That they just wanted to make it based on him, you know, that the characters are based on him.
So really, it was just there wasn't much inspiration from that grisly tale, or
Well, certainly not in the plot. But I mean, certainly the characters seem to be expanded Ed Gein.
right?
Ken Mack was the first person that ever mentioned Ed Gein to me, and the first time I'd ever heard of Ed Gein.
I'd like to have things from different countries.
So he knew
Meetings time.
who he was and what he'd done.
Well, I think what I'm saying when the camera's turned off.
What's that?
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that sometimes as time goes by, you re-remember your inspiration.
Sure. Well, I always thought it was a real original anyway.
These are sold
But,
to a dude, but he'll sell you one.
I'll have to ask Brad.
And all over
When we were
in
doing
this room, or is it me?
it was in fact.
So Jim has terminal flatulence, and he's
No,
reluctant
no,
to
it-
explain it to you.
He's now
More
saying
like
that
kerosene.
Oh, well, Marilyn can spell her name.
Because Jim helped me out a little bit yesterday on that.
I have a wall chart I use.
Thank you very much, folks, for participating in the video, and we'll hopefully expand this and preserve this for future generations.
Yeah, that's what future generations need. America's most bizarre and beautiful crimes. This is exactly what America needs to happen for the future in a time capsule.
Takes me a while to get some.
Just think, if we'd just done this with Nixon the day before.
So is there a state funeral? I mean, what are they doing?
State funeral?
Wednesday's a funeral.
Steak, not steak, steak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, do you have one of these?
Yeah.
Okay, you got one of those. Did you get one of these? Did I send you one of these?
I left Texas
We walked by the
Summer of '75. You know, 10 months ago.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Jim. Appreciate it.
Hey, good one. No coaching.
Okay. Just do the paperwork on this.
I lived there for about 3 years. Texas.
I love that one. Look at old Jim.
Thank you, Gunner.
Sure, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Great shot.
Thanks, John. Appreciate
Taking
it.
off?
Yeah, well, I'll leave you guys alone. I'm going to do something with Ed.
We're dying to be alone.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ms. Cito. Appreciate it. Great seeing you.
Well, great seeing you.
I'll be back. Can't make it to L.A., but
You're not
going
no.
out there.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, well, we'll miss you. I'll miss seeing you. I'll try to set something up in Washington. We'll bring you out to D.C. Have you been to
DC. Oh, great.
You been to Washington, D.C.?
Oh, yeah. Our son lives in Durham, so we...
Oh, no kidding. Is he in acting?
No, he's a professor at Duke.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a Blue Devil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hats off to him. I'm a Terp from the University of Maryland.
Oh, okay.
So, bitter rivals.
Chainsaw Massacre is in the archives in Washington, right?
The art museum.
Well, the Museum of Modern Art. That's in New York.
No, yes,
in
it
New
is.
York.
It's in New York. Yeah, there's a copy of the tape.
Yeah, the tape's at the Museum of Modern Art in New York.
Yeah,
and-
you're right.
But I'm going to try to set up a screening of it at the Kennedy Center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe have some of the, see if I can get some interest in doing something like this with a screening of a 35mm print, which I think would be nice.
Yeah, that was good.
So you haven't seen the last of me.
Well, well, we're glad.
Next time I won't have a camera. But,
Can we now take off our badges? No. $3. No, Brad and Gunner have theirs.
See those going, and then whatever's left. Sure.
It's for my daughter.
Back in your yawning.
Okay, yeah, let me get the Gunner's head a little bit. Thank you.
Did I give you the address?
Never say Gunner and head in the same sentence. Something about it.
Thank you very much.
It's now the end of the panel discussion, the end of the 3-day convention, classic movie poster convention, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I promise. Okay.
Whoop. This is it. It's over. It's finished. I'm going to go out and enjoy the rest of my weekend in Cleveland. Dealers are all leaving. John, thanks again. Appreciate it. Sayonara. Brian, good night. Goodbye. Thank you. Mike,
Merry
take
Christmas
care.
to all and to all good night.
What was that? Marijuana is
Marijuana is the match. Heroin's the fuse. LSD's the bomb. Only, you know, he did it. It's Jack Webb, not me.
Which means we don't have fun at these things, huh?
Night school, and he was going to night school. One of the students opens a notebook
you dropped something, John.
and has like a lid of marijuana in the notebook, and then turns over and he sees it, and he waits till the class is over, and he takes him out in the hall and busts him.
Oh, man.
Jack Webb just in night school.
I know I turned this button off, so I can this button.
This is the screening of the making of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a family portrait. You're the projectionist, Marilyn?
Well, I was earlier, and I guess I've been elected, but I've got to go back. This is
Flying back to Texas?
You're correct.
Are you going to be the only person screening?
Yeah. Looks like it.
What's your name?
Scott.
Where are you from, Scott?
Good luck.
Cleveland?
Scott, come here a minute. Let me show you something.
Well, tape is ending. Jim and his lovely wife are waiting to go back to Texas. Everybody's fled. Marilyn Burns, star of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is leaving. The tape is about to end.
Okay.
Goodbye, Marilyn.
Okay, is it started?
What's missing?
Total chaos, total pandemonium.
I mean, look, but I'm
I think I'm going to fade out right here. Goodbye. Thank you for joining me.